Hello, welcome back to my channel. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to make this video. I used to watch pham when she made dance videos, and then I don't know, I think that I started watching different types of content, but a little bit ago she started making book videos and I've been obsessed with them. I love her book videos and I thought it would be a good time to make a little taste test, to look at the books that she's given 5 stars, pick 3 of them, and see if our tastes align. I did this with Stepboard and I found it was a really great way to get out of my comfort zone and try some new books. So I feel like I've really gone out of my comfort zone this time. The first book I picked was Verity by Colleen Hoover. This book gives me the heebie-jeebies. Like, I have been putting off reading this for so long because, okay, from what I understand, it's about a ghostwriter and she is hired by this author's husband to write a memoir. And so she has to go through this lady's things, but this lady was in an accident and I don't think she can move, and I don't know if she has mental function, and I don't even know if the ghostwriter knows, but the ghostwriter starts having a romantic relationship with the husband and they're all in the same house, and then creepy things start happening, like she sees the ghostwriter lady watching her, or the author is crawling around on the floor and she shouldn't be able to do that, or things are out of place. So I'm getting the chills just thinking about it. I do not do well with scary things, so we'll see how this one goes. The second one that I picked was The Atlas 6, which I've been meaning to read for so long. This is dark academia, and I've never read a dark academia book before, so I'm very excited. I love the cover of it. It's so stunning. This is about a magical library, and there are 6 people who are chosen that are the best, super smart as potential caretakers for the library, but only 5 will be chosen. It's like an internship. Like, you have these people who are all trying to work for the library and going through tests, and you don't know who's gonna get hired. It's a library internship book. Perfect. I've heard that there's a really good, like, subtle romance in here, kind of academic rival vibes, so very curious for that. And then the third book is definitely in my comfort zone, and that's Beach Read by Emily Henry. I recently read Book Lovers by Emily Henry, and I really enjoyed it. And so this one, though, I've heard some interesting things about it. Like, some people were saying there's a cult. She's grieving the loss of her father, and the romance part is between these 2 authors who switch writing styles. So I don't know what to expect with that one, but apparently they don't actually go to the beach a lot and they do not read a lot at the beach. So I've been forewarned not to expect that in this book, and I think I'm mentally okay with that. Without further ado, let's get into the books.
1. I hear the crack of his skull before the spattering of blood.
Okay, oh my gosh, I feel like I just need to hash this out with someone, okay? So, like, you're my sounding board. Basically, what's happened so far. We have Lowen. She's waiting to cross the street and a man gets run over, right? Head, skull breaking. She gets splashed with blood. And then this guy, Jeremy, the love interest, I think, he sees her and he's like, oh my gosh, let me help you, which is sus. Okay, like, I live in New York. Would some random person, would I trust a random man who's come up to me and is like, hey, let me help you out, and takes you into a bathroom stall at a coffee shop and locks the door with you inside? Absolutely not. He's just giving me such weird vibes, and he's giving her literary agent weird vibes too. And the literary agent was like, do you really want to spend nights in this guy's house? Because she has to live in this house to help be the ghostwriter and help finish this author's novels. 2 of his daughters have died mysteriously, not 100% known, a little bit of time after each other. His wife got into this accident, but there were no skid marks, and it looks like it was something done on purpose. Something sketchy happened. Maybe she wanted to do it on purpose. We don't know what actually happened. And so all of the people close to this man have had bad things happen to them. So we don't know what's up with this guy. Also, this vlog is going to probably be spoilery. Okay, so she gets to the house. There's this random kid who doesn't say anything standing outside of her window. And then he goes inside the house, shuts the door on her. I'm getting weird vibes by this little boy. And the little boy is Jeremy's son, the potential love interest / author's son. And she's been given the master bedroom, and there are bite marks on the headboard. And no lock. I don't trust the situation. Things are happening. There's a knife that went missing, the little boy that got cut, and we don't know how he got cut. Verity is turning and making eye contact with our main character at different points in time. There's another point where the son, the little boy, was waving up at the window. Verity thought he was waving at her, so she was about to say hi, but then she realized he was looking at Verity's window, and he saw the shutter move. When Lowen went up to see if it was Verity who had moved the curtain, Verity was still in the same position, but she noticed that the room was really cold and there was a fan moving, but she's like, wow, I'm surprised that the nurse would leave the fan on because it's so cold. I think Verity turned it on. And the nurse had said that she left the TV on, but the TV was off. It's like 10 o'clock at night right now, and I'm thinking about getting ready for bed, and I think I'm gonna have to stop here because my heart can't take it anymore.
So it's the next day, and I have finished the book. I thought I would be making more updates, but I just couldn't stop reading it, and I had to know what happened. And so here are final thoughts. They're going to be a little bit spoilery. I'll put a non-spoiler section for final thoughts, so you might want to skip ahead over there. But in terms of, like, first things first, team manuscript or team letter? I am team manuscript. I think it was just way too descriptive. There were too many holes if you're team letter. One of the twins had a scratch on her cheek. How would the twin get the scratch on her cheek without the hanger? I think that Verity did murder Harper. So I think that Jeremy found the manuscript. I think he read it and he caused the accident with Verity. Something happened, I don't know how he drugged her, whatever it was, he was trying to kill Verity. Now, when he realized that she was a vegetable, I think that he was like, okay, I'll let her be. I think that he planted the manuscript so that Lowen would read it and she would side with him if anything were to happen to Verity. Like she would take his side. When he realized that Verity was conscious and was able to speak, he realized that Verity might out him to Lowen and he had the potential of going to jail for committing murder. I think he killed her right away before Verity could say anything or explain herself at all. And even like whether or not Jeremy messed with the manuscript or killed, he also cheated on his wife. So he's just not a good person. And I don't think Lowen was a good person either. There were a lot of similarities between Lowen and Verity, manuscript Verity. She was super into Jeremy in a very sexual way. Like both of them were very sexually attracted to him and really highlighted that point. She put bite marks in the same point where Verity had put bite marks. She was really evil kind of to Verity when Jeremy wasn't around for no apparent reason initially. Like that was just strange. And then she helped him commit murder. So she's clearly not a very good person either. This was such an addicting book. I could not stop. I was so intrigued. I needed to know what happened next. And I think for that, it's definitely a 4-star. I had to take off a star just because I felt like the writing and the characters were very immature. It almost felt like the author was writing to a younger audience than the ages of the characters in the book. And to me, that just didn't quite fit. And so I would have liked the language to be a little bit more sophisticated to match the subject matter. But besides that, I think it was a great book. It was so interesting and I love reading all the theories. I am going to be on a flight tomorrow and that is when I will start the Atlas 6. Hello, before I do the update on the Atlas 6,
my mom and I just arrived in North Carolina. We were touring around. We came to our hotel room, right? And we got in, we looked at the room, and it was like a fine room, but it was on a path, and there was a lady literally staring into our room, and we were like, okay, this is not safe. Like, we're two women alone. Like, we don't want to be on the ground floor where people can look into our room. Like, that's just so uncomfortable. So we go to the front desk, we complain, we're like, we're not staying there. We came all the way here for a view because it's such a beautiful, we're at the Biltmore estate. Like, it's stunning. Let me show you the view. Like, they were like, okay, we don't have anything for 3 consecutive nights except a suite. And we were like, okay. And so they were like, we will give it to you free of charge, like extra charge. So we're in a suite right now. But anyways, the book, I got about 25% of the way through on the airplane. It is taking me a hot second to get into this book. I think when I heard Dark Academia, I was expecting very atmospheric, think Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, but make it about library vibes. I thought I would be getting library vibes, and I'm not getting that from this. This is very focused on setting up the characters and dialogue between the characters. It's cool how different characters have different perceptions of one another. I like that, but maybe I'm not far enough into it, but it feels like it's gonna be a very slow book and just about different conversations people have and alliances, which is, maybe it's just not what I was expecting going into it. So I don't quite know how I feel about this book so far.
Sweet girl,
Hello. It has been about a week since I last updated. I've moved into college, which is crazy. I'm a senior in college. I can't even believe it. I don't even feel like a senior. It's so strange, and it's gonna be so sad to leave, but then also I'm kind of ready and mentally prepared to go out into the real world and try to get a big girl full-time job, which will be very exciting. But with reading, I'm probably like 15 pages farther than when I last updated. It got really interesting for a hot second there. There were some people trying to invade the Alexandrian library, and then our 6 main characters had to try to fight off these invaders from getting into the library, and I really liked that. And then the invasion was over, and it was back to these boring, long conversations with people who think they're so interesting, but they're actually really not. My hold at the library just came in for the Beach Read audiobook, so I think I might skip over to Beach Read and then come back to the Atlas 6 when I'm in a better headspace, maybe, to read it. When I'm like fully at school, I can get the Dark Academia vibes, I'm in an intellectual mindset. Maybe that'll help me read this book. I am over halfway through Beach Read, and I haven't been updating because I was trying to iron out my feelings on it. They're very conflicted, I would say. Also, side note, our main character, January, drives a Kia Soul just like Lowen from Verity, which is kind of an interesting coincidence. So our main character, January, finds out that her dad had a mistress at his funeral. January's a struggling writer, and so she ends up going to the affair house and trying to write her book. She's having a lot of trouble. She runs into her college rival, who happens to be her neighbor, but college rival in the loosest way possible because they didn't really know each other that well and they weren't really rivals. But anyways, so they make a bet to switch genres, and they take each other out for these workshops, but they're kind of like little dates that they're planning for one another. And so far, I don't really mind the characters so much, but I'm just so bored. I think it's all the really deep and heavy reflecting that these characters are doing, and they're trying so hard to be profound, and it just really takes me out of the story. So like, it's not bad, but I just am not dying to pick it back up again. Okay, I just powered through the last half of Beach Read, and it was fine. It wasn't the best thing I ever read, not the worst thing I ever read. The romance was just blah. I thought the characters
were great. I thought they were a good couple, but I didn't feel that tension or that need for them to get together. So it was there. The women's fiction part where she has writer's block and grieving the loss of her father was just half-baked. Didn't really have that clear of a resolution. It was really rushed at the end. Then the genre switching part, again, didn't feel like it was developed enough, and we didn't even really get to hear about what Gus wrote about with his romance cult book, which sounds so cool. If I were to describe this book in one word, I would say blah. I didn't need to read it. I thought about DNFing it a lot of times. I'm gonna go with a 3 out of 5 star.
Hello everybody, it's been a hot minute since we last spoke. I'm a bit under the weather, so if my voice sounds a little funny, that's why. I have made the executive decision to DNF the Atlas 6. We're Marie Kondoing it. It's not bringing me joy. Whenever I read a book that I'm not enjoying and I think I need to DNF, I get physically nauseous. Like, it's just hard to continue and I'm just nauseous the whole time, and I was getting that feeling with this one. The writing style was just trying so hard to sound smart that it turned the sentences into really clunky and hard to understand phrases. Half the time it didn't 100% make sense, so I'm gonna put this one down. But now my sample size is a little bit too small, so we're gonna add a book. I feel like I need to lean into the thriller vibe. I really liked Verity, and I could handle the spooky ookiness in that one. So I think I'm ready to take it a step up. And the big kids are reading The Guest List by Lucy Foley. Now, I don't know a lot about what this one is about. It has to do with an island, and it has to do with a couple getting married and something about weird cell service, and there's some interesting plot twists. Almost half of my Goodreads friends have read this book and gave it very mixed reviews, so I'm excited to check it out. It's marked as a thriller, crime, and suspense, but not horror, so hopefully it won't be too scary and it'll just be thrilling. Cheers. So I'm home for the weekend, but I made it through about a third of the book so far, and it is so engaging, and I love the character dynamics, and I love how flawed all the characters are. Oh, so what this book is about. So Jules and Will are getting married on this remote island in Ireland, and nobody lives on this island. Everyone has moved off the island, but this owner of the house who's moved there pretty recently is where they're going to hold the wedding venue. And so some members of the wedding party have come a bit early, so Jules' guy best friend, who she's having an emotional affair with, his wife, Hannah, who is my absolute favorite, and then some of her family members, and then also some of Will's friends. Nothing overly scary has happened yet, just some like kind of creepy things, kind of seeing some shadows of people around, feeling like they're being watched, this weird screaming noise that they hear from this weird type of bird that's there. I'm just so intrigued by these characters and the setting of like an Irish island and the bogs and this house manor. It's so intriguing. This is good. Like, I tend to read books for the romance, and this one really doesn't have that in there, but I just need to know what happens next. Okay, you guys are not allowed to be mad at me, but I might have spoiled the entire book for myself. I was getting kind of bored, and it was so slow and nothing was happening, and then I just wanted to know, I just needed to know what it was, and the twist got me. I was surprised. I'm not gonna say it, but there were like 2 twists basically, and I did not see it coming. They were good. I'm like 80% of the way through of the book now, and I'm liking it. I'm gonna say right now it's a solid 4-star. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the character dynamics. It's just a bit slow. And I think that there were some elements in the beginning where they were trying to be very paranormal about it all, and I think that element is kind of getting lost now. Maybe that's the point and I'm missing something, but I feel like they didn't keep those like slightly spooky vibes, and I just wasn't quite on my toes, and I wanted to be on my toes, but I'm liking it. It's good. I finished, and I can safely say that I didn't see how it was going to end. It was a bit rushed at the end, but I really enjoyed this book. I liked the characters, especially Olivia, Hannah. I'm no expert, but I don't know if I would call this a thriller. It was very character driven and you're trying to understand who these people are, but I don't know if I was thrilled exactly. But I think it was a solid 4-star read. It was good. I enjoyed it. Final thoughts. I think that Haley and I have similar feelings towards thriller e-books because Verity work, it just wrapped you in and you needed to know what happened next. And the guest list, it was very character driven, but I cared about these people's lives and I wanted to see how everything connected. Perhaps when it comes to romance, we diverge slightly. I tend to go for more relationship focused romances and things that are a little more angsty and tension filled. And then we have the Atlas 6, which was simply an outlier in this study. I'm so glad that I did this video and I got to read some new books that I probably never would have picked up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!